Yo, it's Jeremy Kimball, and the Getting Down to Grizzness podcast. It's short-lived, Getting Down to Grizzness podcast. This will be episode 3. Doing another podcast with Dylan Stubblefield. You guys should check that one out. It's called the Grizz and Grind podcast. It's pretty good, but I feel like I don't get to be as serious or motivating as I can be on my own platform, so I also want to continue to do these every now and then, especially when I have something to say. But hell of a practice today. Been training all day on Monday. Woke up, did some running, some cardio, some lifting, and then had a hell of a Muay Thai Monday. A lot of tough guys in the room tonight. They did really good. Some more fire than I've seen in a long time out of all the team. A lot of guys got some fights coming up in July and August, so it should be fun. We are 8-0 in the year 2018. It's been great. We're 8-0, and everybody's stepping their game up when it's fight camp time. But I don't know. I just feel like I'm in a different level right now. I fight July 22nd in Hamburg, Germany, and I just feel like I'm in a different level than everybody. As far as like work ethic, I think this is probably the hardest I've ever worked. Being 1-2 in the UFC, there's no job security there, so I really need to go out there and win. And I've really put myself alone in a prison-like environment where I'm just working hard and just being by myself, really. Pretty much every day I'm training alone. Every now and then I get guys that have days off and stuff, and I understand work, but I just think training once a day, 4 days a week, isn't really good for MMA. There's guys who train 3 times a day every day, and they're just surpassing what you're doing. And it's really sad to see some really talented people not taking advantage of that. Like, we have great coaching staff who will be there whenever they need it and will work hard and push the fighters to another level. You just got to be willing to wake up early before work, or go on your lunch break, or stay late, do extra work. But nobody really wants to do that extra work. They all talk about how they want to be next man up, how they want to make it to where I've made it, and nobody really puts that work in. They're tough during practice, and it's hard work, and they'll be in shape because that's our job, is to get them in shape. But they're still missing. Like me, growing up, coming up, and as a fighter, I did all this, by myself. My dad, Ernest Kimball, was there, but I didn't really have many training partners, and Mike Wright was around when he could be, but I didn't really have many training partners, and it was mostly me running, and my dad following me, and then making me push the car, and then bag work, But I really got a sense of clarity in my mind, and wasn't worried, and didn't have that extra nervous energy going into fights, because I knew I belonged there, and I knew what I was doing was good. And I think that solo training is so important, being able to push yourself when no one's around and hit that bag as hard as you can, or do shadow boxing rounds with, like, pretending that someone's in front of you, and just envisioning that, and running with nobody around but yourself, just to push yourself, And there's something to be said for just being alone and doing things on your own. And that's where I'm really getting back to this fight camp so far. I feel like I'm good. Like, I'm happy alone. I get to see my girlfriend Brittany and my kid Ella, and I feel good when it comes to that. And that's the people I hang out with is my family. My family, my girlfriend, my kid, my dad, my mom, just my family, and I'm not talking about like friends' family. No, I don't hang out with like anybody. I'm alone unless I'm with my family, you know, and I feel like that's a good thing, you know. I know what I'm doing it for. The more I spend time with my family, the more I know I'm doing it for them, and I know I'm doing it to give them a better life, you know. And I'm not doing this for my friends. I'm not doing it to make anybody. I'm doing it for myself and my family, you know, and that feels good, and that really just focuses you when you're training alone and you know what you're doing it for. It really focuses you on the prize, you know. And the prize is right now getting my hand raised so I can get a new contract, and it's tough, you know. Going into this, before this fight camp, I've had some friends that were by my side all the time, and now I kind of just shy away from that, you know, and I see how it changes, and no fault of their own. I just feel like, probably more my fault, but I just feel like, you know, being where I'm at, we're not on the same path anymore, you know. When we were grinding and I was trying to get to the UFC, and everybody else around us is trying to get to the UFC, people want to be friends and hang out, but once you're there, it's like, well, he made it, so he's off on his own, and they start taking things more personal, and they start not remembering what made you guys friends in the first place, and because you've reached what they think is the finish line. It's not the finish line. It's just another part of the race you have to run, you know? Because this is, I don't want to fucking end 4 fights in the UFC and that's all I get, you know? I don't want to be 1-3. I don't want that, you know? Fuck, I didn't want to be 2-2, but, you know, things don't work the way they are, so I'm going to try my best to make it to that 2-2 and get a new contract. Because I do like being there, but I know it's not the end of the race. And for anybody to think that, they're dead wrong, because that's when the real work begins. You have less room for error in that in the UFC. You're facing the big dogs, and one simple mistake could get you caught. You know. So and I'm trying to push these guys to not make the simple little mistakes that I made when I was coming up, and it's frustrating to see. So I lash out, and I try to be the best coach I can be, but I do have that aggressive nature sometimes, and I rub people the wrong way and piss people off, and they get mad at me, but they don't understand that I'm just doing it to better them, and I try to change my coaching tactics, but I think really at the end of the day it's become more of I'm coaching and pulling away from their friendship, because I think it's smarter that way. Right, because most coaches aren't friends with their students, right? They coach and then they go on and live their lives while their students go on and live their lives, you know. So for me, it's one of those things where it's really hard to tell, like, those people that you were close to is like, hey, it's not the same, you know. Whether it's me doing something subconsciously or you guys really just thinking that I've gotten to the finish line and I'm somewhere that that you think I am, but I'm really not. You know, I'm just a low-level fighter in the UFC, but you guys think that I'm like some stud star or something, and you know, don't have that in common with me anymore. And that's a shitty feeling, but at the same time, it really pushed me to refocus my goals and what I want, and actually put more focus on my girlfriend Brittany, my kid Ella. You know, it really made me focus on that as my vocal point. Like, I'm there, and that's what I'm shooting for the stars for, is for them, to give them the life that they deserve, and not to run this race with my friends, because at the end of the day, friends aren't going to be there 20, 30, 40 years, you know what I mean? It's going to be your family, it's going to be who you marry, it's going to be that, it's going to be your wife, it's going to be your kids, and your family, you know, your mom, your dad, you know, brother, sister, whatever it is, but that's what's going to be there. So I focus on my family first, and then I give back to the younger fighters and teach them and show them that these things don't, like, they just doesn't define who you are. Fighting doesn't define who you are, right? It's a way out. It's a way to make good money. It's a way to provide. That's what it's for. It's a means to an end, because it's a way to provide. I'm not looking for the Conor McGregor lifestyle. Yes, I would love a giant house, and that's about all I'm looking for, is a giant house for my family, you know, for the people that give so much to me. That's who I want to give back to. And then as far as, like, the friendships goes, yeah, we'll be friends, and I'm sure they'll be there. Like, I know they will, and I know they have my back, and they know I have their backs, but it's just not the same anymore, and it feels like because we're in different levels of this race, it's just they think a different way, and I think a different way, and I think all they're realizing is because I'm there, my mindset is elevated to where I want to work harder, and that's more what I'm about. I'm not about fucking around. I'm not about going out and having fun. I'm about fucking results. Like, I'm about getting in there, training hard, working so hard that I fall asleep at night very easily, and I'm there for that. Like, that's what I'm there for. I want to put my whole heart and soul in this, and I don't have time for bullshit, right? So if I'm laying into them or I'm busting their balls, it's because I don't have time for the bullshit anymore. Like, if it's not making me better, then it's regressing me, and I don't want to regress anymore. I've done that with my life. Like, if it's not for the greater cause of my fight career, I just don't want it in my life. Like, it's just bullshit. So I kind of push all that shit to the side, and yeah, be friendly, be business-like with them, and really just, show them, hey, you know what, if you think we're not running this race together anymore, that's fine, but run that race with the person next to you then, right? Run that race with the next man up, right? So you should be still running the race, right? And if you guys want to bullshit and do amateur, low-level pro stuff, cool, do that. You know what I mean? But me, if it's not a high-level pro, like, if it's not feeding that, then I don't care about it, And that's really where I'm at right now. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care if I hurt your feelings. I don't care. Like, I'm here for the greater good of my team and the greater good of my career, and that all leads back to what I'm doing this for. And so you really got to ask yourself at the end of the day, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this for fame, glory? Are you doing this to have friends? Like, what are you doing this for? Because this sport's not going to lend itself to having very many friends. It's not going to lend itself to this rich and famous lifestyle. Yeah, you can make it, but most fighters don't keep that money. So I'm here trying to show a different wave of, let's be smart with the money, let's work hard, let's keep pushing it, let's make sure our careers last a decent amount of time, at least until we can get a different platform to do something. But right now, we all have this one thing in common where this is our platform. We have to fight. That's our platform. That's how we get people eyes on us, right? That's how we get eyes on the gym. That's how we get eyes on us ourselves. That's how we get sponsors. That's how we get all this stuff. And right now, that's your platform, right? So you run this race until you can get to the next platform, and then you do something there, and then, whatever it is. If fighting's your main goal, then cool. But know that you have to do something with that platform. You have to be able to provide for yourself and for your family, and it's really one of those things where if you're fucking around and you're making mistakes now, I don't want to be the guy fucking around making mistakes now, because I don't want to make mistakes when I get to the next level, because this is just one level, right? But another contract, that is going to bring tougher fights, it's going to bring harder matchups, it's going to bring everything, right? And I have to up my level. I have to up my game and up my platform. And me, I'm doing this, like I said, to provide for my family, so when I can get out and I have a different platform, that's what I'll do. But right now, I'm actually falling in love with fighting again, and I think that's what these other guys are missing. They're doing it for their reasons, but they're not loving it right now, and I see that in them, and maybe that's why there's a disconnect in that friendship area too. But I know what I'm doing this for, and I know that I'm starting to love this again, and when I love this, I know I'm a dangerous person, and there's been plenty of times where I fell out of love with the sport, but something's always keeping me here. Whatever it is, my competitive spirit, or really whatever. I'm loving this again, and I'm loving competing, and I'm just loving being present, and that's the biggest thing, is I'm being present in practice. I'm being present hitting the bag. I'm being present in my own mind. And that's something that a lot of people can't do. They can't be alone with themselves, right? So they fucking team up and or whatever it is. But you have to really learn how to fall in love with yourself and train with yourself and train your mind to be alone. Because at the end of the day, with what we do, it's you versus another person in the cage. You're alone. your thoughts are going to be there with you, right? I've had plenty of times when I'm down in a fight. You got to think positive. You got to have that positive reinforcement. If you don't, and you're thinking about quitting, chances are you're going to quit in that fight. So to me, it's just you got to have that good self-talk. You can't have a negative image of yourself. That negative image is really just so bad for you. And if you have like, I quit all the time, so like you're gonna quit. Like if you have just quit in your mind, you're gonna quit, right? If you start saying words like I can't do this or I can't do that, like that's negative self-talk, and it's just not gonna get you far, right? And I've had that. Like I've been there. I know what that's about. But I really just focus on putting it in my head. I can do this. I can go further. I can go further than I did yesterday. I can get up and work even though my legs are dead. I can get up and work even though I'm dead ass tired. I can do this. I can. And that's how you're going to build yourself. You're going to build that mind to want to go out there, and you're going to build that love for it too, because by having a good self-image and a good image of what you're doing in this, you're going to have good fights because you're going to be happy, right? Because good self-image makes people happy. So good thoughts make you happy. When you're in that fight and you're having good thoughts, it's going to let you branch out and explore that creative side of the fighting. It's going to let you find that mixed martial art. It's going to have you find that art in there, And I think that's a big thing is people do this, and they're also at this different stage where they're starting to get worn on. It's starting to be a grind, and it's starting to be more like a job. And if they don't have that positive self-talk and they don't get themselves to that next level of, it's not just your body that needs to work, it's your mind that needs to work for you too. Otherwise it's going to be a fucking tough night in that cage, and you're probably going to want to quit every time. Like you're probably going to want to quit fighting. It's when it's not fun anymore, it's a job. And when it's a job, it's really hard for people to want to keep doing and wake up early before work and go have fun, right? They think, oh, I got to wake up and do a job before I do my job. And I would understand, like, that's tough. Like, that would be tough to do. But if you have that positive self-talk and you're doing your rounds and you're self-talking yourself, like, self-talking yourself. If you're self-talking during your rounds, you're going to feel better. Like, you got to have that positive stuff. Like, I will land this. I will do this. I can do this. I can get out of the way. I can, whatever it is. And it's the same with anything in life. If you're negative self-talking yourself, if I can keep doing that. If you're negative self-talking, you're going to hate whatever you're doing, or you're going to hate having to, whatever it is, go to the gym. If you just hate going, like you just tell yourself you hate going to the gym, you're going to hate going to the gym. If you tell yourself you can't do a pull-up, you're not going to ever be able to do that pull-up, because it's that negative self-talk that's really, really bad for your soul. It's really bad for your body. It's bad for everything. So you really have to just focus and push forward and whatever you're trying to do in life, and have good self-talks, and while you're doing it, be in your own head. Say, I can do this. Get that word can't out of your vocabulary. It's really bad for you, and so anyways, yeah, so that's where I'm at, and that's so I'm looking for a best friend is what I'm saying. No, so that's where I'm at, and I feel like it's a tough road, it's a lonely road, but I've really fallen in love with all of this again, and I think that's a good thing, and I just can't wait for July 22nd. I know I'm going to go out there and put on a show in Germany. I love traveling, so that's a huge thing for me. Like, it's already lending itself to a fun night for me, and I want to prove that I'm that walking bonus, so I would love to have another bonus in there, and I've been training like it too, so, and I know I'm probably like 8 weeks out, around 8 weeks, and I've been busting my ass already, so I know this is going to be the best shape I've been in. This is going to be the most crisp I've been, and as long as everything goes according to plan, I'm gonna feel really good, So, yeah, July 22nd in Hamburg, Germany, and this has kind of just been the path I'm on, and kind of just a way to work things out in my head. If it helps somebody, great. I really hope it does. I hope it helps you in whatever you're doing in life, and it gives some motivation, because I like to coach and I like to motivate, and so anyways, I hope this has been good. Being a voice recorder, I've said a lot and a lot of grammar errors, but whatever, fuck it. I'm having fun doing this, and just try, like I said, I'm just trying to work shit out in my own head and post it for you guys, so yeah. It's been the Getting Down to Grizzness podcast. Short and sweet. Love you guys. Keep working hard.